There were three boys that loved watching horror movies. One day, one of the boys received a parcel in the mail. There were no stamps on it, and the mysterious package had no name or address written on the front. The boy had no idea who it was from. When he opened the parcel, he found a DVD inside. There was no cover on the case and no title on the disc. He thought his friends may be playing a joke on him, so he took the DVD and went out to meet the other boys. When he arrived at their house, he asked them about the mysterious DVD, but they said they had nothing to do with it. They invited him inside to watch it and see what was on. When they sat down on the sofa and pressed play on the DVD player, they were surprised at what they saw on the screen. There was a creepy clown standing in a room. There was a bed on his left and a closet on his right. He was holding two red balloons and staring into the camera. Then, some weird music started playing and the clown began dancing and jumping around. He was jerking and shaking his body all around the room. All the while, his clown face was fixed in a wide, menacing grin. He looked insane and his behavior was bizarre. Two of the boys thought it was hilarious and started laughing out loud. After a while, they noticed that the third boy was very quiet. When they turned to look at him, they could see that his face was white as a sheet and his eyes were wide in terror. "What's the matter with you?" they asked. "Why aren't you laughing?" The boy replied in a weak voice, That's my bedroom." They didn't understand him. They didn't understand art. They called him a monster and took away his cranes. They would destroy his cranes, he knew. They didn't know the significance. They couldn't see the artistry, the uniqueness of each paper. They didn't care about the stories behind them or their meaning. It was all foreign to them, so of course they had to destroy it. Uncultured thugs. That's all they were. They didn't know a damn thing about origami, or of culture, or of the world at large. They just followed their orders. They tore it all apart and spat in his face. It was killing him inside. All the time he spent practicing, refining his skills, learning the patience and insight necessary to make the perfect fold. The first time, every time, meaningless now. Thrown in the incinerator like so much kindling. A hollow ache gripped his heart at the thought of all his work being burned to ash. But it was the thought of losing the cranes that hurt the most. There were other pieces, of course. A pair of tortoises, a boat, several flowers, a butterfly, and 3 koi fish. But the cranes were the pride of his collection. The cranes were the whole reason he'd learned how to fold in the first place. He'd only made 15 of the 1,000 he needed to complete the set. But they dominated the studio, all strung up along the ceiling in well-ordered row. He loved the way the light had danced along their silver and gold embellishments as they kept silent watch over him and his ongoing projects below. The collective embodiment of peace, as they were always meant to be. He'd been forced to watch them take each crane down, helpless and restrained, crying the hot, silent tears of an impotent rage. At least they'd been gentle in removing them. He had that small comfort, at least. But he knew they were all bound for the incinerators. He'd hear them talking about it. Spare the families, they'd say, throwing dirty looks his way, draping coarse white sheets over his fragile cranes and carting them away to be burned. To where they wouldn't say. Oh, that they wouldn't say. They said all sorts of things about his mind, about his depravity, and how he didn't even deserve the scant rights and protections domestic animals had recently been granted. But they wouldn't say a word about where they would burn his beauties. Thugs, the lot of them. They were true monsters. They were destroying true art. If he'd just been allowed to finish his work, there's so much he could have given to the world. Because if the gods were willing to grant a single wish for 1,000 cranes made of paper, what might they have been willing to grant him for 1,000 cranes made of flesh and bone? There was a blind girl who hated herself just because she was blind. She hated everyone except her loving boyfriend. He was always there for her. She said that if she could only see the world, she would marry her boyfriend. One day, someone donated a pair of eyes to her, and then she could see everything. Her boyfriend asked her, "Now that you can see the world, will you marry me?" The girl was shocked when she saw that her boyfriend was blind too, and refused to marry him. He walked away in tears. Later, he wrote a letter to her. It read, "Just take care of your eyes, my dear, for before they were yours, they were mine." I watched as my soon-to-be father-in-law held his daughter's hand as he walked down the aisle. Tears streamed down his face as the wedding march that played in the background reminded him that, in a few minutes, he would be watching me hold his daughter's hand and slipping on her ring. He walked up to the altar and I took hold of her hand, grinning from ear to ear. It was the happiest day of my life. My bride's father got down on his knees and started begging, "Please, I did what you asked. Just please give me my daughter back." I glared at him. "Shut up and stop ruining the moment. If you sit back down and enjoy the ceremony, maybe I'll tell you where I've hidden the rest of her body." This is me. I'm here. I'm shifting the words that you're reading, altering them from whatever this person wrote. I've been here for a while, for as long as you can remember. Anyway, sometimes I say your name as you're falling asleep, or whisper urgently into your ear. Do you remember that time I screamed, throwing panic through you and setting your heart racing? That was fun. You're wondering who I am. That's only natural. Of course, you already know. I'm you. The real you. I'm the mind that existed here before you stole my body, before you forgot about being a parasite. I'm the child who looked the wrong way, asked the wrong question, saw the wrong thing, but I'm not so little anymore. You may have forgotten me, but I'm still here. I've always been here. I'm going to get out. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you'd like to, you can follow me at Twitter. The handle is @FuzzyPantaloons, and I'll see you all next time.